Hello everyone, my name is Arif Usta and today I'm going to present our paper DBTagger. This is the outline of the presentation. First, I'm going to explain what an NLIDB system is. Then I will talk about the challenges for keyword mapping in the NLIDB pipeline. Following that, I will go through the neural architecture of DBTagger. And finally, I will conclude with our results and point out the key findings in our study. Relational databases are one of the most popular data infrastructures to store information in a structured fashion. In order to retrieve the data from relational databases, the user has to express her information need in structured query language. Although SQL is a powerfully expressive and flexible language, it's not easy for casual users to use, because a casual user has to know the underlying schema behind the database before issuing a query, and she has to know, or she has to be familiar with SQL syntax, which is not trivial. In order to obviate these problems, NLIDB research has been introduced. The idea here is to provide a search engine-like interface to the databases so that users can access to data by using their preferred natural language. Here you can see an example of keyword mapping scenario in general NLIDB pipeline. Keyword mapping refers to the problem of finding schema tags for each token in the input query, and you here see an example input query and its associated ground truth schema tags. So let's see the challenges yielded by particular query. The very first challenge here is to identify non-relevant and relevant keywords in terms of schema tags. Here, for instance, you have D and A, and both are stop words. A naive keyword mapper approach would be filtering both of these stop words. However, this wouldn't be ideal because it will basically misplace the database value. Another challenge here is to find the multi-word entities, especially for database values, because these are important challenges because they are basically used in where clauses in SQL statements, which directly affects the translation accuracy. And another important challenge here is to find out semantic variations. Here you have a verb acted, and the corresponding tag is basically a table named cast between actor and movie table. And as you can see, although they have the same meaning, they are basically different words. In order to address these challenges, we propose DBTagger, and we handle the keyword mapping as a sequence tagging problem, similar to part of speech tagging or name entity recognition in NLP community. And we utilize bi-directional RNNs to train a deep neural model in a supervised fashion compared to the unsupervised approaches preferred in state-of-the-art NLIDB systems. During training, we employ multitask learning and cross-skip connections, which are basically well-known paradigms utilized in deep learning. We also use conditional random fields to provide a query-wise tagging instead of independent token tagging. Here, we will present the neural network architecture of DBTagger. Here you can see there is a bidirectional encoder, which basically encodes the input into latent space so that it can be used in the downstream task. This is the core state-of-the-art architecture and the sequence tagging problem in NLP. However, we introduce multiple modifications regarding the observations we made. As you mentioned before, we apply multitasking, and as you can see, there are 3 different tags for each input word. And we also apply skip connections. Here, you can see that there is a connection between the next task and the previous task, so that we can exploit the encoding done by the previous task. Since we try to train a model in a supervised fashion, we need annotated data. And for that, we annotated basically 8 different data sets. And for type and schema tags, we manually annotated the tags, as you can see here in this example. And for post tags, we basically use the output of Stanford post tagger without further post-processing technique. So this is the experimental results. Here we compare DBTagger with unsupervised approaches utilizing the state-of-art NLIDB systems. In this particular experiment, we implement 4 different baselines in 3 different data sets, and each pair of scores in the table on the right indicates accuracy scores for relation and non-relation matching accuracy, respectively. And here we have TF-IDF to simulate exact matching. We implement NLIR, whose approach is querying over database. And we have Word2Vec, which is to simulate semantic similarity approaches. And we have TABAT, which is a pre-trained BERT-based encoder, which also utilizes table encodings to produce embeddings. As you can see, DBTagger outperforms all of the baselines in 3 data sets significantly. In fact, it outperforms all its counterparts by up to 31 and 65% for relation and non-relation matching, respectively. And you can also see that some of the approaches perform reasonable in a particular data set. However, they can fail in other data sets, such as NLIR. On the other hand, DBTagger consistently performs well enough for all of the data sets and for both tasks. In this particular experiment, we evaluate the architecture of DBTagger. You can see that we have 8 different data sets here, and in 6 of them, the DBTagger outperforms all of the other supervised architectures. As you can also see, the vanilla CRF, which is quite a simple model, performs well enough in almost all of the data sets, and in fact, it performs best in 2 of them, which also signifies its role in sequence tagging problem. And another important finding is that all of the multitask models regarding the last 2 rows, they perform better than single task models, which is also important to support our hypothesis that multitask learning would be beneficial for this problem. In this last experimental result, we provide an efficiency analysis, and to the best of our knowledge, this is the first comprehensive efficiency analysis, not only for keyword mappers but also general NLIDB translation pipeline. We have the same baselines, and as you can see, DBTagger is the most efficient solution here, both in terms of runtime and in terms of memory consumption required to perform the mapping operation. Here, you also see that some of the approaches, such as querying, TABAT online, and Word2Vec approaches, they are not applicable, especially for much bigger databases. To conclude, we propose DBTagger, which utilizes deep learning, and DBTagger performs best mapping with the highest accuracy, 92% on the average for all data sets. DBTagger is not only effective, but also the most efficient one, outputting the tags in the fastest manner in just 3 milliseconds. And our results also indicate that DBTagger is scalable to large databases and applicable in various domains. Thank you for listening. You can download our code and annotated dataset in the particular repository.